All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. I am Rob McConnell, and for the next 2 hours, I'm your host and your guide as together we cross the time-space continuum to this place that I call the X Zone. It's a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard. It's a place where fact is fiction, and fiction, well, 9 times out of 10 is reality. And we're coming to you from a broadcast center and studios of the X Zone Broadcast Network here in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on the shores of Lake Ontario. And also around the world on the Talkstar Radio Network and Mutual Broadcast Network. And a couple of FM stations that we'd like to say hello to tonight are WVEX in Midland, Michigan. And let's go to Classic 1220 CFAJ in St. Catharines, where we're streamed around the world as well at www.classic1220.ca. My guest this hour, the first hour of tonight's show, X Zone Nation, is a young lady that we've had on the show a number of times. Her name is Reverend Helen REES, and Helen is in Australia. And just to tell you a little bit about Helen, spiritually, Helen believes that the universe has a way of guiding us towards, well, where we're supposed to be, what we're supposed to be doing, and move us forward as such. Helen, am I explaining it right?
Yeah.
Welcome back to the show, Helen. Always great having you with us.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that's fine.
Now, you are one busy lady. I know that besides doing your readings and talking to people, you're also very involved in the Butterfly Fellowship Spiritualist Church as well. So where do you get time for Helen?
Well, that's easy. Really, it's just a matter of taking time out, really, and just being with the family. And I do that all the time. So, because family to me is the most important thing in our lives, really. If we've got a loving family around us, then nothing can harm you. Nothing can take you away from where your purpose is.
Isn't that the truth? According to you and the studies that you've done, the people you've talked to over the years, where does wisdom come from?
So it's an interesting question, isn't it, about wisdom? So, people can get wisdom from, you can read books, or you can even do it through experience, really. But it's all that's sort of a bit of hindsight, isn't it?
Yes, it is, yeah.
So where does true wisdom really come from? It comes from within. And when you trust that inner guidance, that if there is an issue that you need to resolve, then that inner guidance comes from that infinite source. And, the infinite source can be called many things: God, the universal creator, you name it. There are so many names out there. So let's just call him God, or her God, Mother, Father, God.
Right.
But, yeah, so And so when you really wait for that wisdom to come forth, then it's really understanding uh, who you are, and that's what it's all about. Really understanding yourself and not getting tied up with everything that happens around you. Not allowing yourself to become what's the word? T- uh, uh, putting yourself into a position where the wisdom won't come because you're too busy overthinking things.
Have you always been on a quest to find out the meaning of life, where wisdom comes from, the truth about spirituality, or was this something that just happened by accident, that we call an accident, but was actually part of um, your life's mission?
Yeah, no, I think it's always with us, as always is. And when we agreed to come to the earth plane for whatever our purposes are, and like our purposes really, as far as I'm concerned, is all about presenting yourself with love, with compassion, with kindness, and whatever you are meant to do will occur. Now, free will comes into play with that as well, and that free will can also be interfered by other people's free will. So whatever comes up, it's really getting back to yourself, to allow yourself to be who you truly are without letting others interfere. So it's really taking time out for you to enable that to happen. Now, life is not perfect, and we all fall over sometimes in whatever one might say and whatever truths you might have. We all fall over with different things that might happen in our lives.
How do we stop ourselves from falling off of the path that we're supposed to be on? I understand that free will is a big part of our life. In fact, I believe that we face free will challenges every day. But
Yeah,
how do we know if we're making the right choice?
I believe that nothing is a wrong choice,
Well,
because sometimes what we think is wrong, or even if we've failed at something, it's just a lesson that we have to actually learn. And there are times when that can be extraordinarily difficult, but really it's really about getting back to the self, about allowing yourself to just to be, to bring yourself back into harmony, to center yourself and just come back to you. Now, I had to learn, everyone has to learn lessons, really big lessons. And, like I forgot who I was at times. And what I've learned in the last 2 years, I guess, is that I really had to come back to who I was and not what someone else thought I was or who I should be. And and that philosophical aspect of me has always been there anyway. You always have to go back in and have a think about where I am, what I'm doing. But what it did do was it brought me back to me. And when I say that, I'm pretty much a fun-loving person, really. I just love to be happy and laughing at things. I laugh at myself all the time. And an example of that is me going to the shops and buying stuff and then coming out and saying, oh my goodness, I forgot to do that, get that. So you go back. And one day I went back 3 times and I said, what are you doing? What are you doing, woman? And when your brain is going at 100 miles an hour, you just have to come back to yourself and center yourself and just say, okay, so I mucked that up a bit, and then just get on with it because
but
we're not perfect.
no, no, but what I've recently done is I started making lists, and when I go out, I follow my list because there were times when you'd go out and you're so busy thinking about what you have to do during the day while you're driving, you're going into all these stores and you're talking to different people. It's only natural that you would forget one or two things. So I find with the list that I keep in the car, I'm a heck of a lot more successful and I don't waste as much time.
Well, unfortunately for me, lists don't work. My daughter says to me, "Have you written down everything, Mum?" Yes, I have. I get there, got the list, and do I pay any attention to that list? No way. I'm too busy looking at everything else, getting what I don't need.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway, that's a bit of fun, and it's really about being able to laugh at yourself and not be concerned about what happens, really, and just move on with that.
I believe that in today's society, with us being inundated with news from around the world, 7/24, 365, that our brains do not get the chance to calm down. We do not get the chance to just tune out unless you meditate or unless you know how to turn off the outside noises and just focus. And I think that the majority of people do not realize that yet, and this is why there's so much turmoil, why they look like they're in that the hamster cage, that wheel. They keep on going, and they wonder why. Well, it's because they don't give themselves a chance to think. They don't give themselves a chance to relax. And like you said at the beginning of the segment, they don't give themselves enough opportunity and time to spend with their families. The most important part of any person's, what am I looking for here? Necessity. Is their family.
That's right. And when I retired from the church that I was at, it took me, because I've been there for so long, in various roles, it just took me a good 12 months to get myself back on track as to who I really was. And so one of the things about when we look at, you mentioned meditation.
Yes.
It's really important to do that on a daily basis. You don't even have to do it for so very long, but you certainly need to sit quietly for 5 minutes, even if you've got a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or whatever you choose, whatever your drink is, just to sit and relax and contemplate and just bring yourself back to a stillness. Now, people talk about stillness.
Helen, I'm going to have to interrupt you here because I do have to take my first hard break, so please stand by. X-Zone Nation, my guest this hour is a good friend of mine. Her name is Helen REES, and she's in Australia. And if you'd like to find out more about Helen on Facebook, it's facebook.com/Helen REES 16. That's HELENREES 16. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone, and we're coming to you from our broadcast center and studios in St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada, on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and on your hometown radio, Classic 1220 CFAJ. And they stream at classic1220.ca.
You'll never do, but I wish someone had to talk to me like I want to talk to you. Ooh, I've been to Georgia and California and anywhere I could run. Took the hand of a preacher man and we made love in the sun, but I ran out of places and friendly faces because
Explanation Helen REES is our special guest on Facebook, facebook.com/Helen REES 16. And that was a song by a young lady by the name of Charlene, and it's entitled I've Never Been to Me. And that's what we were talking about in the first segment of this hour, Helen, is that a lot of people have never been to themselves, and it's about time that they stop and smell the roses.
Absolutely.
How can people best do that? How can they start tuning things out? You and I briefly touched on meditation. But like I said, in today's society with the news 724, 365, everybody's too busy looking down at their iPad or their iPod. Most people now work out of home. It's a crazy world.
Yes, and it's important that we do take time for ourselves. They talk about the stillness of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
And really what that is about is just trying to quieten the mind from thinking, because that's all we're doing. It's in our mind. We're thinking so much that we're actually tuning out other things that are going on around us. And so it's all about the breath work that we do. And it's important just to allow that 5 minutes of, and a very simple exercise is just breathing in for 4, holding that for 4, breathing out for 4 and holding it, and then starting that whole process, because as you're breathing, you can't actually think. I don't know if anyone's, because you're focusing on getting oxygen into your body and allowing it to flow out. And so the more discipline you do, the more you do it, the more disciplined you become. And it's important to take that time. Like I said, 5 minutes is sometimes such a blessing for yourself that you understand if you don't take it, you'll actually miss it. So it's really about becoming centered within yourself. Now, I know how busy it can get if you've got young children, or even if you've got your teenage children, and as they grow up, your adult children, whatever there's always something going on in their lives or our lives or whatever. But really, we have to come back to us, to an individual, to who we are. We came in on our own and we'll go out on our own. And understanding that allows you to connect with the spirit, connect with your higher self, to connect to God, to connect in that little space of time that you've got. And to take that 5 minutes and do it every day, or even at night, just before you go to bed to sleep. Take the time to actually focus on your breath and allow yourself to connect to your higher self, to get the wisdom, to have an understanding of what your next step is. Because we all have the answers within ourselves as to what we need to do.
What importance do dreams play when we're trying to understand our daily life, and if we're trying to center ourselves? We have so much going on during the day. And yet it seems when we dream, somebody or someone is trying to give us the answers. Is that ourself who is giving the answers, or is it with the help of spirit that we're getting the guidance?
Look, it's with the help of spirit. Because I believe when we sleep, we actually transcend the earthly plane and just float ourselves back up to the spiritual realms, so that we can get a break. So it's important. That's why sleep is so important. So to get yourself out of that. Now, dreams. There are dreams that just because of what's happened in your life during the day that happen, and I guess it's a bit of a reflection. Sometimes they can be a bit like nightmares, can't they? But it's really not. It's really about understanding that we are as we are who we are, and that we need time out. And sleep gives us that time out, in actual fact.
Where does spirit play a big role? Because a lot of people do not believe in spirituality. They don't believe that there is a spirit. They don't believe that there is a higher deity. They do not believe that we come to this earth plane already with a plan in hand. How do we explain to these people who are, and I'll use this phrase, non-believers, what we understand to be real, and how can we help them understand?
It really does come back to having time out. That's what I believe, Rob. You know, it doesn't matter what you believe in actual fact. It's about how you live your life. And so your lifestyle reflects who you are. So if it really comes back to this, to being you, and sometimes anger, despair, everything comes into play, and you say, I don't believe in God, I don't believe in this, I don't believe in that. But what we can believe in is in ourselves, because whether you believe it or not, we are part of we have an ongoing infinite life. And to help people is just to really allow themselves. The way we can help people is to get them to just to be kind to themselves. Stop beating themselves up. Be kind to themselves so they can be kind to others. To be compassionate to themselves. Because most people's anger is they're angry at themselves. And it's sad to see so much of it at times. But, you know, we can only do for ourselves what we choose.
Right.
And whatever that belief is in your life, it doesn't matter in the end. It's about being kind to you and loving yourself. And loving yourself is so important. And as we speak to people out there that are understanding yourselves is the step towards showing who you truly are to other people. Now, I come to you and I trust that you will understand that as I speak through Helen, that the universal life is there for everyone, and to move yourselves through this space is just to be yourselves and to be kind to you, to love. Love is the answer to everything. Loving yourself. It's not about being. It is not about being better than somebody else, more powerful than somebody else. It's just about being who you are.
As it says in the good book, do unto others as you would have them do unto you.
Absolutely, my friend.
And that's what life is all about. Instead of finding fault, instead of looking at different people, their situations in a negative point of view, instead of being part of the problem, I think that we all have it in us to be part of the solution. And that working together, we can and will succeed in making this a better place to live, and that we will successfully move on into the future as one great society.
Indeed. Oh, sorry.
Before we go on, I noticed that you started channeling a few minutes ago.
Yes, did he decided he wanted to come forward.
I heard that, and I found that very, very refreshing that someone from the outside was able to come through you as an evidential medium and share that wonderful message with the audience. So thank you for that.
And he tells me that you're welcome. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, that took me by surprise. But anyway, um, I'm finding that as I delve into myself these days,
Mm-hmm.
that connection to spirit is becoming stronger and stronger, and uh, it, and you can call it many things. You know, people say I don't believe in all of that, and you know, like I think Stephen Hawkins was a classic example of someone who didn't believe in things like that, and uh, he was such a brilliant man, wasn't he, Stephen Hawkins?
Certainly
I don't
was.
even know why I'm bringing him up, but it the here he was that he a body that he couldn't use
Mm-hmm.
and had to use computer aids to speak and all of that sort of stuff, and yet he did that. So and he still was a successful man. So if you understand that no matter who you are or what you do,
Mm-hmm.
life can just be as good as you make it and not to be worried about whether you're a cripple, whether you've got some sort of disease, whether you've got um, uh, some other aspect of you that's not real. And there is a lot of us, a lot of people who aren't using their real selves and just using personas and limiting themselves to things that are so uh, mundane and sad
Helen,
and violent.
we're going to take a break right now, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes. Please, you know, I'm hearing that you're a little frazzled because you weren't expecting to have visitors. So please collect yourself. I'll give you a couple of minutes, and we'll be back. And once again, please thank your spirit for coming and joining us here tonight on the show. Exo Nation, Helen Rees is my special guest, and she is in Australia. If you'd like to find out more about Helen, visit her Facebook page, facebook.com/Helen Rees 16. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back after this break. Don't go away.
And a regimented wife. I've no doubt you dream about the things you'll never do. But I wish someone had to talk to me like I want to talk to you. Ooh. Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street with not enough to eat. Who am I to be blind, pretending not to see their need? A son's disregard, a broken bottle top, and a one-man soul. They follow each other on the window, 'cause they got nowhere to go. That's why I want you to know I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking him to change his ways, and no message could have been any clearer. If you wanna make the world a better place, take a look at yourself and then make a change.
Man in the Mirror by Michael Jackson. What a great song. It actually, it's a reflection of what Helen and I were talking about, where, you know, all the answers to every situation that you find yourself in, the answer is within you. All you have to do is look inward, and the answer is there. And take time to understand what the solution may be. It doesn't have to come right away. In fact, many people say, well, I'll sleep on that. And during their nighttime escapades, spirit, past family members, or all the information that you've been able to access to over the years will help you find out what the solution to that problem is. And in my opinion, it works for me, so I'm sure it will work for you. Welcome back, Helen.
Thank you. Thank you, Rob.
Helen, how does one come to understand the breath of God?
Okay, so understanding that is so intricate, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you can imagine uh, threads of gold just floating all around you. You know, God is always with us,
Mm-hmm.
or that the oneness, the part of us that that exists forever. But those threads, if you can see them like rays of gold just around you all the time, and when things are at your most difficult, those threads actually thicken around you to protect you more, to help you, so that you don't go too far. And so, too far into the negative. Now, it's understanding that we are one with God that can bring us peace. And so it's I wrote something somewhere. Just bear with me for a minute.
Certainly.
I'm just going to just read this to you. The breath of God flows like threads of gold, encircling and immersing the whole being, whether it's spirit side or us on the earthly realms. The threads give joy, love, and energy that allows one to feel the upliftment of the spirit. Open the heart and mind to the all-encompassing love and compassion that is given freely and openly. In times when things seem difficult, we forget that the breath of God is always with us, and our minds spiral to the negative thoughts, whether in anger or despair. That is when God thickens the golden threads and sends comfort to console. Love is in abundance, so always remember to bring yourself back from the brink of negativity to the unfoldment of God's golden energy of light.
That's beautiful. Did you write that?
Yeah, that was a channeled piece that I wrote.
When you're channeling, where do you get this information from?
Oh, I
Is
have a team of spirits. So when the timing's right, they'll come through with all these messages. So yeah, I do believe that wisdom is within us all, and things come out when it's needed for other people to hear. And it's just allowing ourselves to be, to believe, to trust, to have faith, and to stop limiting ourselves.
mm,
You know, when we limit ourselves is when things get out of hand and everything seems to fall on top of us. So it's just shaking that off, shaking it out of your being, shaking that negative. That's why meditation is important, in that you take time out away from the hustle and bustle of everything, as we discussed before.
now, when you meditate, you don't have to go into the lotus position. You don't need to have a guru. You don't have to find somebody with an Indian name online and get their information. All you basically need to do is sit down and quiet yourself down. I do that every night before I go home or go to bed. I sit down in a nice dark room and I just blank myself out for about 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Then I'm ready to go to work, or go, I'm sorry, continue my voyage from work and go home.
yeah,
It gives you a very peaceful feeling.
yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Once again, it's like stopping to smell the roses.
exactly. And finding the peace
Hmm.
within. And that is about harmony and bringing yourself back into harmony. That's true peace.
As a evidential medium, what was it like the first time that you realized that you were getting a message from somewhere else, not from this planet, not from this realm, but from somewhere else, someone else? What was that like?
It's hard to answer, Rob, because I can't remember. It seems to have been with me all the time. Um, but one also has to develop that as well. Like, it's not, some people can do it automatically, but
Hmm.
most people have to actually develop themselves and to bring, because sometimes our purpose isn't necessarily just bringing messages through from loved ones, it's doing other things. So, it really is about developing that quietness within your mind and to really allow that message to come through and to feel the presence of that loved one. And when they come close, and then you can hear that message that's coming from them, and allowing that uh, understanding so that the person receiving the message
Hmm.
is can understand that they're not alone, that their loved ones are still there, that they will be there waiting for them, and that their time on the earthly plane has completed, and that the journey that one follows can just give comfort to people when they feel the presence of a loved one, especially if if you lose your partner or
Hmm.
your or a child or heaven forbid, that would be a dreadful feeling, I know, but um, understanding that they are there and they're safe and they're protected is very important to the peace of mind of a person on the earthly realm.
2 years ago, we lost one of our grandchildren, and it was the fact that we believe, Laura and myself, we believe that when we do end our existence here and we're freed of the meat suit, that we will meet again, and that life in one form or another does continue and does go forward, and that this this existence of ours is just like a speck of sand when it comes to the size of what we cannot yet understand, and how important what we do here on this little speck of sand in time is, that whether we know it or not, we do affect other people, and that our lives do intertwine, and that this has all been pre-planned. We may vary to the right, we may vary to the left, but we come to this reality with a plan.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like a contract, actually. And like you said, things might weave in and out,
Hmm.
not quite where you're going. And that's because of circumstances all around us. But in the end, we come back to it. And I think life is just really quite simple.
We
If,
complicate it.
yeah, it's just coming back to that being of love and being a light for others and just being who you are at the core of you and showing that, not being afraid to show
Hmm.
that. Um,
There,
fear has a lot of things.
it's funny because people are afraid of dying and people are afraid of loving. And yet they're the two most significant emotions that anyone can have in this existence. I don't understand it. And yet,
Uh,
when you look at our lives, the moment we're conceived is the moment that we start to die.
yep. Every step we take.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
But that doesn't mean we can't live a long life.
Oh, I understand, and I agree with you 150%. My dad,
And it
God bless him,
depends on
he.
our purpose
Mhm.
and circumstance. That doesn't mean we can't live beyond 100 years, even.
Yeah.
You see lots of people live well and truly. You hear people of 120 years old, uh, and you wonder why. What is that purpose for? Why?
That's a
And
great
it's
question.
and to me, it's about their time. They're there to help and show people, and to be perhaps the circumstances that other people can see who they are, to understand themselves better.
Or even the fact that they may themselves, not knowingly, being a great support and being a mentor to someone that is close to them. It's all about love.
It
You and I have
is.
to take our final break for this hour. Helen Reese is my guest. Her Facebook page is facebook.com/Helen Reese 16. I'll be back with Helen as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone. This is hour number 1. Still to come after the top of the hour, hour number 2. I'm Rob McConnell. I'll be back on the other side with Helen. Don't go away.
Gonna make a change for once in my life. It's gonna feel real good. Gonna make a difference. Gonna make it right. As I turn up the collar on my favorite winter coat, this wind is blowing my mind. I see the kids in the street.
Oh, I could hide 'neath the wings of the bluebird as she sings. The 6 o'clock alarm would never ring, but it rings and we rise, wipe the sleep out of our eyes. Your shaven razor's cold and it stings. Cheer up, sleepy Jean. Oh, what can it mean to a daydream believer and a homecoming queen?
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the X Zone Radio Show on the X Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and if you're living in Niagara, right from downtown St. Catharines, where our broadcast center and studios are, and you're listening to us on the AM radio band on Classic 1220, streaming around the world on classic1220.ca. And of course, Classic 1220 is a done radio station. It is Classic 1220 CFAJ. Helen Reese, thank you so much for joining us. Always a great pleasure talking to you. And do you think that there will ever be perfect peace?
So, peace is quite a thing, isn't it? There's so much going on in the
Yeah.
world, and it's like there's so much disillusionment, anger, despair, and people not actually letting go. Oh, it just, it's quite frustrating when you see. I am always very thankful for living in a country like Australia. I have to tell you that. We're surrounded by water, so we're not that easy to get to. Um, but and we're just one great big island. But you know, like it's 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 not that we don't have problems. It's just that we don't have that the fear of war always around us.
Right.
Like the understanding why people are like that. It's hard. It's hard, and then everything escalates. So, to me, it's really about, if you want to call it like this, forces of darkness versus the forces of light. But what we have to remember is that we always come back to balance. So there is always a balance of positive and negative. And so while one might be in play for a little while, it eventually comes back to the middle, to the balance of life. And so we are here to experience some negative things, to understand and have a greater understanding of ourselves, of who we are and what we're about. But at the same time, we don't have to dwell in that space. It's really, the more we dwell in it, the worse it gets. And, you know, and then we're limiting ourselves. Our aura becomes full of this negative light. And so shaking that out and just bringing back the light can be difficult at times. And this is what's happening in the world as a collective. So that collective energy is what needs to be calmed down. And so how does one do that? All we can do, because, you know, I'm right into this healing aspect of life. And that spiritual healing is really about keeping your mind clean. And what do I mean by that? Is not letting the negative take over, but bringing yourself back to that point of oneness, to know that you're part of a universal aspect, that you have infinite life. It's just bringing that back and just allowing that peace to come back into your life, to bring back the harmony. Peace is harmony. When we have harmony, we have peace. So it's not limiting yourselves to the negative always, and to shake it out of your aura, shake it. I mean, how do we shake something out? I think just shaking your body helps bring in better energy. So, you know, so if you're really feeling down, just dancing.
Yeah.
You know, just getting out there and just
Getting those endorphins going, getting the oxygen back into your system, exhaling, and just doing what it takes in order for you to, like you said, shake that negativity off. And everyone can. It's not as hard as it seems. It's very simple.
Yep. It's got to have to get rid of that thought, because thoughts live forever and they just keep going, flowing out. It's just bringing yourself back. And the more you think on a positive note, the more that thought of positivity comes in, then healing can start within. And healing your mind is one of the most important things that you can do. Healing of the mind. You know, I have seen some really great results from spiritual healing. And other times you will say, well, nothing happened. Why? And it's really because people are meant for this certain thing to happen to them. And it's in accepting that aspect, that this was part of why we came here. It's when you accept it that you can move forward. It'll be baby steps to do that. But and not to be, don't be down on yourself because you can't overcome it straight away. Just know that every little step you take to a brighter future helps you move forward.
And once again, the answers are in you. Is it because people are afraid to understand who they really are, that a lot of these problems live and are dragged on from one year to another year, and this negativity that they emanate affects and puts other people into a negative attitude?
Yeah, it's very hard to get out of that spiral once you're in it. And we have to reverse that spiral. So, you know, it's easier when you're in meditation to look at yourself going upwards, you know, or conversely going down into yourself. You know, when we slow our brains down, that's when things can become quite clear. So it's really about that, all those different aspects of you that you have to allow to come forward and not be afraid, because fear stops you from doing anything. You get into a comfort zone of
Right.
negativity, and that's hard to shake sometimes. So sometimes you just have to step out, whether you like it or not. You have to show who you are, show your power, because the power of God is always within you.
I know it's very hard for some people in today's society with finances the way they are. The cost of living is astronomical. Rents are going up. Pays are staying the same. Mom and dads are all over the world are working 2-3 jobs to make ends meet. They lay down at night and they're so worried that they don't get a good night's sleep. And I don't know how we can help them to understand that they need to take that time for themselves in order for them to actually look at the issues and come up with a positive plan.
Yeah. And it is hard, especially when you're in that negative mode. It's very hard to think outside of that. So yeah, it's really important to take time out for yourself every day.
How do you think we should teach our children at a young age that what is it that they should do in order to better understand the quality of time that is needed, the peace of mind that is needed? How can we do that with children?
Oh, simple answer, meditation. We should be teaching our children to meditate from a young age, really.
Well, you know what? I think that they were doing that in schools because they would have nap time in the middle of the afternoon. And I'm wondering now if that was the entire premise behind nap time, was so that the children could actually rest and clear their little minds. And I wonder if that is why in Mexico they take siestas. You know, who knows? Because when they
Yeah,
take that
exactly.
nap,
Yeah. And it's understanding that. And I think the Western world tends to be a bit, you know,
judgmental.
more materially, uh, what's the word I'm trying to say? That all they think about is the material side of
Yeah.
things. And it, it's not putting them, it's always putting that at the forefront, which causes the problems that we've got in the world, actually. The more power we have, the more money we have, the more this, the more that. It's really about letting that go. Not everyone's got a lot of money, and you know what? You can, if you're happy just being on your own, just not having a home, just being there, then that's wonderful. But if you're stuck in this homeless situation that you found yourself in, then that's a different situation. So it's very hard to balance the two, isn't it?
It certainly is. And I think that it is my belief that when people are in those situations, they don't want to talk about it. They don't want to share it with people who might actually be understanding towards them and help them solve their problems, because sometimes you can't see the forest for the trees.
Yeah, exactly. You can't see it because you're in your mind all the
Yeah.
time.
Helen, as always, time goes by so fast when you're with us. First of all, thank you so much for taking time out. And in the next 50 seconds, tell me what you're going to be up doing in the next couple of months before we say hi to you again.
Oh, I'm always busy. You know that,
Yeah.
Rob. I can't sit still. My
Well,
family look at me and just shake their head. So yes, I because I'm a great believer in spiritual healing, but I also believe we have to look after our health, our bodies. So really, what I'm focusing on is wellness products in the future. So to bring the two together, because it's really important to be to have both.
Right.
We have a responsibility to look after our bodies.
We sure
It's our responsibility. And if we don't, then what's the point? What's the point of always being in pain, allowing ourselves to be in pain when we don't need to be?
Helen, I
So,
want to thank you very much for joining us. Take care of yourself and Exo Nation. If you'd like to contact Helen, visit her on Facebook, facebook.com/Helen Reese 16. I'll be back on the other side of the top of the hour as hour number 2 of tonight's show here in the X Zone with yours truly, Rob McConnell, starts right now.
Oh, and our good times started then with $1 to spend.